Hey, Jefi, how are you?
Good. How are you? I didn't know what you were going to say. I'm like, where's he go? Is he's going to call me some other name or what's going to happen here?
I know, too funny. Well, I know we've both got a lot of stuff going on. I'm getting ready for
Yep,
this big bike trip, and you've got a pilot event you're doing, just kind of
I
checking some
am.
things out for a bigger
Yeah.
scale. Woo Fest, I
Yes.
think it is.
Yes. Woo Fest. So I am taking a page out of your book. I love how you do your mountain training camp. And so I normally buy the biggest tent, the biggest car, the biggest bike, the biggest whatever water tank. That was for you, Cody.
I know the
But
story there.
I know, but I I listened to you and you said start small.
Yep.
So I'm starting small. There's 5 of us, including me.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. And I'm hoping I can grow it. But I wanted to iron out the kinks.
Awesome. And I think we were talking about team building tools for this, and
Mm-hmm.
you've got one you've used, and we're going to dry run it here. We're going to test the
Okay.
test.
Okay, great. So Esther Perel, love her. She
Awesome.
has a podcast. She's really cool. I love podcasts.
Yeah. Including ours.
Including ours. I mean, it's the best. But anyway, she has this really cool like box I'm showing of questions that you can have, and the group doesn't know each other. So these are 5 women that have met briefly, but not really, like they don't really know each other. So you asked me to draw a card, so I drew a card. So you ready? I'm going to ask you.
Oh, I don't know what's coming, so this is good. I
Okay.
love it.
Okay, ready? Remember,
Yeah.
this is a 10-minute takedown.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we're not starting at 10 minutes yet. Go ahead.
So a risk I took that changed my life.
Oh, wow. So a risk that I took that changed my life. That's pretty easy. And that was moving to Chapel Hill without a job back
I
in
love it.
1993 as a newlywed
Oh
and
my
knowing
God.
nobody here. That
That's
was a
awesome.
big risk, and it changed the trajectory of my life. And it was a great decision. But there was a lot of blank out there that we didn't know was going to happen.
You're like,
Clean slate. I wasn't
clean
running
slate.
from the law. I wasn't running from the law, or maybe some ex-girlfriends, but that was about it.
Story for another day. Story
That's
for
right.
another
How
day.
about you,
That's
Jeff?
good.
What's one for you?
I would say something really similar. It's funny, and I hope that by you telling me yours, it's not swaying mine. But when I was 18, I loaded my Volkswagen Jetta. Actually, I was 19. Loaded my Volkswagen Jetta with everything I owned. Drove out of a driveway with my mother bawling her eyes out, going, "Where's my baby going?" And I had $50. I had $50
Oh my gosh.
to my name.
Is your name Brian Buffini?
Oh God, I
Sounds
know.
like this.
Similar stories, but I didn't end up in a motorcycle accident, thank God. But
Yeah.
yeah, $50. I had a job already lined up, and I came to San Diego, and it really it changed my whole life. It changed everything. I have my babies because of that. I have my career because of that. I mean, it's a pretty incredible thing.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. The open road.
The open
Well,
road.
that's it. Well, we're going to now focus on something a little more pragmatic on a 10-minute takedown. Bam!
Yow!
And this is going to be on the importance of staging.
Mm,
And this is something I've experienced live as a seller.
mhm,
So, a little backstory here. In prepping our home for sale, and our place is pretty buttoned down, and Lynn's got a really good design sense, but had a stager come through
mhm.
and make recommendations, and then she brought all her stuff in, and the home was staged, and then of course Lynn on the backside like destaged half of it and put her put her spin
I
on it.
I love this story. So Ed says, Lynn came home after the staging, and I was in the garage, and I said, "All right, you might not like everything, but and then the next thing you know, Lynn's in there.
Just tearing it apart. And
And
I said, how did
rightfully
I
so.
handle
She
it?
has great taste. It looked amazing. So
She,
good for her.
she was right. And about, the good news is like half the stuff stayed, but, and she was on point. But the funny line was, you remember I told you this? I said, the photos are at noon tomorrow.
Oh
You
yeah.
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And
I
it was
love it.
totally on point.
I love it.
But the point of that all is why it matters is that I
Mhm.
think staging continues to become increasingly important in the listing process, and sellers are going to obtain better offers, higher
Mhm.
offers. You need to really pay attention to it and do staging. And there's some key points why and some key things to do. And we're going to dive right into that.
Sounds good.
So shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's go. So point number 1, consult a pro. Even if the client destages half of it, consult a pro.
This is good. Now, and this is interesting because a pro can be someone like my Teresa and your Lynn, where they can see things that even a stager, like a hired stager, can't see. So they're the layer on top, right? There's
Right.
the deep staging, like they bring in all the furniture, and then there's the little moving things around so they look good stager.
Right. And so I deploy both types. It depends on the home. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I like having a professional involved in it, that's what they do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in, and part of that is like, I'm really good at pricing. I'm extremely good at negotiations. I'm not going to pick out the color of the pillows. That's not what I'm about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring a pro in to do that as part of my team. That's a better experience for everybody.
Gotcha.
And then you have to have that stable approach. Some do vacant staging only. Others
Mm-hmm.
will do existing home staging.
Mm-hmm.
And Christy, who I use for existing home staging, she's really good at decluttering and working with what the clients have and then bringing other elements in.
Right. So, hey, just quick question. How much of your and Lynn's things did you guys actually move out of the house prior to staging it? Like a percentage or none? I don't even know.
We had 4 chairs we took out that were old that never really fit.
Okay.
And that was it.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then everything was like soft. And then we had some new soft goods and pillows and things like that.
Gotcha.
And then just moving some other things and key books. And I mean, she keyed in on our mid-century modern and sense of architecture. So there were books that supported that story, and we're going to get into that.
That's really cool.
But there was a lot of existing things. It was just accents primarily.
That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
No, that's right on point. Because that gets to the next point, which is every home has a story, or it should.
I love that.
And you want to tell that story.
Yes.
So our home, for example, when we did this, it's all about the natural setting and the design sense and this kind of 70s vibe, and so we really accentuated that so that story could be heard and clearly seen, and people connected to it. One of the things I've said over the years is 90% of buyers cannot project themselves into the space. You go into an empty home, they're just confused.
Right.
What's challenging is realtors, we're generally pretty good at that, right? So we can see it, but it's hard to communicate that to your clients if they're not part of the 10% that can do it. And so staging really helps that experience come through, and it's such an emotional buy. You want to be able to do that to help tell that story.
Yeah, it's interesting because Joe O'Mara, business partner, he worked in condo conversions, and he felt and not 100%, but he feels that a lot of times homes show better sometimes without furniture in them. Now, I understand that sometimes if you shove a bunch of stuff into a 9x9 room, it's not going to look good. But the big picture is when people are looking on the internet and they're perusing through photos and it's just a big blank room, there's no softness to it. It doesn't stop them. It doesn't make them see the space the same way. And that is probably exactly what happens when a buyer walks through the door and a house is not staged.
Yeah, they come in and they're like, how do I use this room? What's the mood?
What is this room?
What is this room? What is this house about?
My friend, that's the kitchen.
Yeah, you cook here.
This is where you cook.
This is where you sleep. I could keep going.
Please
but,
don't.
But it's just one of those things that it helps. So here's an example. Like, we have an outdoor fire pit at our home. It's right near the creek. So I made sure that the fire was made, the wood was stacked so that, you could simulate if you were building a fire, right? It's easy touch, all set up. But then when people come out there and they sit in the chair, they can envision what that's like.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's doing those little things. So you want to be able to create and tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any other additions there? And then we can get to the next one.
Well, I really like light staging. I love a plant in a corner and then maybe one room done and a few little fluffy things in the bathroom and the kitchen. And if there's not a defined dining room, I like to put a table in there. But I even think that having just a rug somewhere, like a really nice rug or a piece of art, does let the buyer understand what you could do with the space. So it doesn't have to be overkill.
100% agree.
Yeah.
So, there's kind of two categories, which is there's the vacant home you're staging, and you don't have to do all the rooms. It's the key ones,
right?
The primary bedroom, the kitchen, you do those things, and then wherever the main living area is, and then making sure the bathrooms are set up so that, it feels nice.
Yeah.
But you're not doing all the rooms. And then there's the staging of the existing home, which is quite often a method of subtraction. And hence, I guess, your question.
Yeah.
Now, we tend to be very minimalist, right? So that's already kind of the way we live. So that wasn't an issue. But it's usually pulling things out. And what I tell clients on that is, you got to remember there's like a minimum three people rolling through here at the same time, standing around. You got to give them elbow room.
Right. Good call.
Yeah.
Good call with that. The other thing is that I think a lot of people, when they have their own things, don't think that they can look that great. And, because they've been living in it and they don't see that there is character to those things. So to have somebody like the final toucher come on, like Teresa for me, is really cool, because just moving a few pieces of furniture can completely change how a room looks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
So you don't have to do everything.
And so then the third key point, I think, in this is to focus on the 3 Ds.
Okay.
Which are declutter,
Declutter it.
declutter, depersonalize, and deep clean.
Ooh, okay. Declutter, I totally 100% get. I am not a minimalist. I like to think I'm a minimalist, but I'm not. I got shit everywhere behind me.
Yes.
But you're right. If I was selling my house, I know. Whatever. Lynn did that. You did not.
I know. I like it. I'm just not good at it. I see its value. I tend to not do it, but yes.
Lynn's Oz behind the curtain in your house.
Clearly.
Okay, so I get that. The second D was what was it?
Depersonalize.
Depersonalize. Okay, this is where I'm on the fence with this, because a lot of people go, should I take down these photos? Should I do this? Should I do that? I think if you have 900 photos of your family, sure. If it's a little overwhelming, yes. But to take down all of who you are in your life, I don't agree with that.
Interesting. I tend to agree with it. I want to take the majority of it down, but like if you look behind me, like we've got these black and whites of the kids, we left those up. That's okay. Good. They're far enough in the past, and they have this sense that it's it's more of an artistic thing almost, right? It's not like a row of family portraits from Owen Mills for like 15 years of that experience, right?
That I agree with. But if or boudoir photos, you probably want to take those down.
Probably want to take those down, although I've been in homes where they haven't.
But okay, so I think we're agreeing. I'm just saying it a little bit differently, because I do think that having part of who you are in that home, it's the same reason why when you buy a picture frame, there's a picture of somebody in it. It's not just an empty frame. Usually they have kind of like the little black and white in there and whatever. It gives life to it.
Yeah. The way it's been explained to me by, the pros that I bring in is that you don't want too much of the time You like the way I answered that, right? I'm like deferring
When
to a
I
higher
bring
authority.
the pros in, when I bring
That's
the
right.
pros in, Jeffy,
When I bring
your
the
idea is
pros in,
stupid.
no, the point is the way it's been expressed to me is that you don't want the client spending too much time focusing on who's living there and trying to figure that out. You want them being able to project and feel the space as part of their own.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So something to think about.
Okay.
Deep clean. I know you believe in that one.
Oh man, I do. Ed, I went to a house yesterday that is coming on the market here, and the cleaners, I called, my jaw fell to the floor. I'm like, I have to call them and thank them. They did the most phenomenal job. The house smells good. It looks good. The windows are clean. Everything about this property just made me go, oh my God, there's, $40,000 extra just by having a good clean.
Oh yeah, and it's so important in getting you get the tile medic in, and they're getting everything all taken care of. And I'll tell you one thing, I don't know where Lynn learned to do this, but like she brought in all these eucalyptus clippings as part part of the flowers that were in, all fresh flowers, no plastic flowers,
right?
And just creating sense as people go through, right?
That's really
stuff
cool.
works.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
so
good.
The bottom line.
Yep. Let's hear it.
You're gonna make more money, and you're gonna get a quicker offer when you stage.
Yeah.
And so you really have to do it, and you can't see your own blind sides. So you really need to make sure that you get somebody in to give you advice.
100%.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you at the next one.
See you soon.